want to have you mute right now. We're going to go ahead and get the official program started in 5 seconds. Well, good morning, everyone. I'm Bobby Spiegel. I'm President CEO for the Corona Chamber of Commerce, and I'm so excited to be able to welcome all of you to our call this morning. This is the Coffee with the Entrepreneur. It is a monthly call, and it is sponsored in partnership with the City of Corona. I would like to ask you if you could please mute yourself. There is a button on the lower left-hand side of your screen, and it's got the microphone. If you're new to Zoom calls, please just make sure there's a red line through the mute or through the microphone symbol, and that will mute you. Also, there is a chat box at the bottom, and if you would go ahead and if you have any questions for our speaker, feel free to put your questions in there, and we will ask our entrepreneur at the end of her presentation those questions. What's nice is if you've missed any portion of this call, or if you want to play back later today, Stephanie or Linda will be emailing to you a complete copy of today's program. It is through an email system, and you can click on it. It's a video recording of today's program. And what I like utilizing that feature for is to go back and re-listen and take down copious notes. There are so many takeaways, tidbits, and nuggets that are going to be shared today that you don't want to miss any of it. We will also have this on our Facebook page and our YouTube channel. I would like to introduce someone that doesn't really need an introduction because he all last year was my chairman of the board and very active and involved in our weekly business calls as well as our monthly Coffee with the Entrepreneur. Please welcome Don Williamson.
Good morning, everyone. Thank you for being here this morning. Our next Corona Chamber business briefing call will be day after tomorrow, which is Wednesday, January 13th. We have these meetings each and every week. This is one of the valuable resources that you get from our Corona Chamber of Commerce membership. It provides information and updates from the city, county, legislation of the state about all the things that are going on, upcoming events, anything related to the promotion of our economic recovery. Our next meeting, which again is this Wednesday, we'll hear from Assembly Member Sabrina Cervantes and our Mayor, Jackie Casillas. To join, you have to register. So visit the Biddy link, which is on the screen right now, and join now, sign up for it. You have to sign up to get the code. A week from Wednesday, we're going to have our Riverside County Supervisor, Karen Spiegel, and our former Assembly Member, Jeff Miller. Both weeks, we will also have our legislative advocate, Jeff Gibson, give us updates as well. These are really important and valuable meetings that will help you know what's going on, and register today so you don't miss it.
Thank you. Thank you so much. This coming up Friday is our virtual Good Morning Corona. We will feature keynote speaker Barry E. Knight, who was one of our Coffee with an Entrepreneurs. He spoke in October, and phenomenal information and great stuff that he'll be sharing. You know, one of our focuses for the Chamber to help all of our businesses is to kick off 2021 and set your year up for success. Barry is the key person. He's our keynote speaker that will share this coming Friday during our presentation. And another feature that we wanted just to share with you is that he will be doing updates every single Good Morning Corona, so it continues to be reinforced on ways to make your business successful. So we'd like you to register right now. You'll see that. You can register at mychamber.org, and we look forward to having you there. Donnie?
Labor law posters, 2021 employment labor law posters are available to pre-order right now. Every Corona Chamber member can reserve an English poster for free. This is an incredible benefit. We used to charge for these, and we were able to make a deal where we can provide this service. Visit mychamber.org and click on store to get yours today. Additional posters in English and Spanish are also available. You can be fined upwards of $17,000 for not properly displaying these. To make sure that you secure yours right away. Something that may be new to your company this year is remote workers. Every single remote employee must be given a physical poster by their employer. We anticipate having these in stock this week, so you can come down and pick them up. And those who order will be notified at that time. Thank you.
Thank you, Donnie. And on those posters, you know, the key thing is there were some new labor law changes. So they're at the press right now. We do anticipate them this week. And if you want more than the one that we're giving you, you have the price points in there. The slide that's up on the screen right now is our gala. This is our annual installation and awards ceremony. And we're very excited to offer this to you on February 25th. I'm going to thank Don right now, but we're going to do an official thank you on our installation. He did a tremendous job for us. You know, little did we know when he picked the theme of Make History, were we going to get the name of our community throughout the world in the year of 2020, but we totally did make history. And our new chairman, who is our speaker today, actually, she is going to be sharing her vision at the installation. Today, you're going to hear the background of her, but we're going to hear her vision and how it's going to be creating vision for the theme. So we do encourage you to register right now. Don?
I want to talk about membership. For those of you that are not yet a member, or if you know someone who should be a member that would find a benefit in being part of the Corona Chamber, please connect with Robert Yanez to make that happen and join our chamber family. Programs like today's chat are just one of the many, many benefits that you can take advantage of. We're not bound by geographical limits and have members from all over Southern California, with a few even beyond that. If you're already a member and if you refer a business that joins, you'll both get a free ad in the Corona Business News. So join today. Bobby?
Thank you. And there's a special program that we have because of the pandemic that is going on and all the healthcare workers that are working around the clock to provide good care and great care for people. What we've done through a program called Flag Corona and working with the Corona Chamber Foundation is you can make a donation to the foundation, which is a 501c3, so it is tax deductible. And the Flag organization will go ahead and get food from different eateries in the greater Corona area to be able to feed our to feed our hospital healthcare workers. We've done senior care living. Today we're going over to Kaiser, the medical office building for the urgent care. So there's a variety of places that we're doing, and we just want to thank everyone that's been plugged into it. But you can text the word flag to 71441, and then you can be able to do your donation. We recently had a grant for $3,000 that can be matched. So if you donate $100, it's now $200. Just so you know, it's about $10 per meal that we spend. And we'd love for you to be able to donate as much as possible so we can say thank you to all of our healthcare workers. And now it gives me a great deal of pleasure to introduce our business partner. I shared a little bit at the very beginning that this program today is in partnership with the City of Corona. Jessica Gonzalez has been with the city just shy of a year right now, but I will tell you, she hit the pace going full bore. And what I love about her is even with the challenges of remote working and the pandemic, Jessica hasn't skipped a beat. She is there and very responsive, especially for the business community. Her title is Economic Development Director, but she totally controls what goes on and how businesses expand here and all the great things that are going on. Her and her team are just awesome. Ladies and gentlemen, please welcome our business partner, Jessica Gonzalez.
Well, good morning, everyone, and thank you, Bobby. Always a very kind introduction. It's a joy to be here with you all, and I always say, but I'll say it again, it's one of my favorite events, the Coffee with an Entrepreneur. I think it's a great way to start the week, and it's just a great example of the collaboration that the city and chamber have and the great things we can accomplish together. So we have, just in case you don't know, we have over 12,000 amazing businesses in Corona. And these events, like the Coffee with an Entrepreneur and all the other trainings and events that you were hearing Bobby share with you, those are geared towards supporting our more than 12,000 businesses. And we want to plant additional seeds of entrepreneurship. So on that front, I want to share with you two upcoming events. Well, two entrepreneurship trainings and then a manufacturing event. So in the entrepreneurship front, starting February 9th, we are offering an 8-week academy for Spanish speakers in Corona that want to launch their business concepts. They've had an idea for some time, and now this is the year where they can implement those ideas into successful business ventures. Starting February 9th, 5 to 7 p.m. You'll see more information through our social media and our website and our emails, But please, if you know someone that would benefit from participating, it's all in Spanish, 6 to 8 weeks. Please encourage them to participate. And then started in March at the tail end of the Spanish Entrepreneurship Academy, we will be having an English Entrepreneurship Academy for another 6 weeks. So encourage folks you know, or if you yourself would like to participate, please reach out to us. And the other event I want to quickly mention is that on January 27th, we are having a workplace safety webinar for manufacturers. There's been recent legislation that went out at the tail end of November for manufacturers, for employers, and how to maintain a COVID-safe workplace. We want to make sure that our community is well aware. All of this information you'll see actively pushed out through our various channels, but we encourage you to participate. And thank you once again for being with us this morning. Back to you, Bobby.
Thank you so much, Jessica. And a great partnership we have with the city and with you at the helm of that. So we appreciate you. We're about ready to introduce our keynote, and I'm going to turn it over to Donnie in just a minute. But I just want to remind you, please use the chat box to put any questions in there. And as well, if you could just make sure your microphone is muted so that we can turn around and be able to hear everything that our entrepreneur has. Please welcome our former chairman of the board for 2020, Don Williamson.
Thanks, Bobby. It is my pleasure to introduce our current chairman of the board as our guest speaker today, Kim Mabon. Kim has been working as a creative professional for 30 years. During that time, she's worked with a variety of advertising agencies, publishing companies, and businesses of all types. She has received over 75 awards from various organizations for her creative works, including several gold and silver awards from the Association Trends, as well as multiple Maggie Awards from Western Publication Association. She serves as a board member for the Corona Chamber of Commerce, board member for Giving 365, and is treasurer for the Tuesday Morning Stars Networking Group. Kim is the founder and CEO of Creative by Design, a full-service agency that helps their customers improve their bottom line with high-quality, consistent, and effective graphic and web design, as well as print and promotional products. She is also a published author, Adobe Creative Trainer, and public speaker. You cannot turn your head in the city of Corona without seeing something that Kim has put together to inform people, and she does wonderful work. And I'm anxious for us to hear what our friend and Chairman Kim Mabon has to say. Kim, over to you.
Thank you so much, Don. I do have a presentation to share, so if you can allow me to share that screen. Just hold on, folks. Get that going. There we go. Okay, it would help if it started at the beginning. Gotta love technology, right? Okay, hold on. Close your eyes. No. Okay, there we go. Good morning, everybody, and thank you for joining us today and to be interested in hearing my story. Yeah.
I apologize. My screen doesn't show. Does everyone else's screen show her stuff?
Sharing is paused. How about
mine's black?
It's just a black screen. It's for yours right now, but it doesn't have anything up on it.
Weird. It's saying it's paused, and I don't know how it got paused.
You want to close it down and then restart it?
Yeah, let's try that.
Thank you. There you go. You're up now. Thank you. I'm going to remute.
Thank you, Bobby. All right. So I want to thank you once again for joining me today and being interested in hearing my story and my background. So let's just jump right into it. Of course, it's not letting me. There we go. So I grew up in Westminster, California. And that's one of my baby pictures on the left. You'll see I have 2 cherry birthmarks on my forehead. I also have one on my shoulder. Thankfully, the ones on my forehead faded as I got older. Then in the middle is me there with my first puppy. His name was Charlie. And on the right is me holding my baby brother, Jeff. So we're 4 years apart. So there I was 4 and he was a newborn. And then one of our pastimes as a family was to go camping every summer. We would go for about 4 weeks, and I've seen every national park west of Wyoming. So on my bucket list is to start checking off some of the East Coast states and some of those national parks. But this is my brother and I in our Winnebago camping. And this is a shot of me and my brother and my mom. And here I am as a brownie bridging over to a Girl Scout. My daughter is actually a 4th generation Girl Scout. So my grandmother, my mother, myself, and my daughter are all Girl Scouts. It was definitely something that helped build character and independence and some independent thinking. It was a great program. So I actually started drawing in the 3rd grade. These are some of the drawings between 3rd and 6th grade. I believe his name was Sam. Donnie, you might be able to help me with this, but his name was Sam, right? Okay. He was, I believe it was I don't remember which year the Olympics was, but the top one was a traced one, but the bottom was a freehand. And I actually did better freehand than I did with tracing. But I've been drawing from a very early age, as you can see. Then as I moved into junior high and high school, I got better. My parents had got me some books about drawing cartoons and started getting really good at it to the point where my friends would actually pay me $1 to draw them a picture. So I was a professional artist in 7th grade. They would tell me what kind of scene they would want, and this was some of my characters. This was BK Duck, and I believe these were the Zippy Dudes or something, and this is Zeker down here. So I had different characters that were requested for me to draw. And then I got into modeling when I was 13 years old. I was 5'11" and 135 pounds, and everybody around me said I should start this, and I ended up getting into that. I actually won the 1988 K-Rock Buffums Model Search, and it resulted in this. On the right is the cover of the fashion section for the Daily News. And some of the other pictures are just photos from my portfolio. I was hired by Jimmy Z clothing line in, I believe they were in Huntington Beach at the time, to be a fit model for them. One of the challenges for me, even at 135 pounds, I was considered a plus size model because I didn't wear a size 2. But I did that up until I was about 18 years old and graduated high school and needed to make a career decision. I was at the time modeling, acting, dancing, singing, doing all the performing arts, and I had every intention of continuing down that career path. My high school biology teacher kept pressuring me, saying that I needed to have a backup plan. What I thought was interesting is my parents really didn't pressure me anyway. They just said, you either go to school full-time or you pay rent and you work full-time. But my biology teacher put so much pressure on me to have a backup plan. Hold on, sorry. Got a fire alarm going off here. Okay, going off. My husband must be cooking breakfast upstairs. Y'all hear me again? Okay, okay. So my high school teacher pressured me enough that I decided, okay, fine, I will go to a local junior college. And I was looking through the pamphlet trying to decide what I wanted to do, and looked at it and saw, okay, I like computers, I like to draw. I used to watch my father put together computers from scratch. And when I was 10 years old, he brought home our first computer, an Atari, and gave me a basic programming language book and said, learn that. And it got me really into computers. And this was a hobby for him because he was a civil engineer at the Long Beach Naval Shipyard at the time. But he would bring home newer models of computers all the time, and then, or buy parts for it. And I'd watch him take it apart and put the parts in and improve the computer. And we just kept doing that. And it was something that I liked. So I figured, okay, let's do graphic design. That sounds like something I'd be interested in. And started attending Golden West College, which was the community college down in Huntington Beach. And started doing different art classes. So this is some of my art from college. The bottom right one was an airbrush self-portrait. The large one in the middle was, I think what they call a surreal. It's still hanging in my house today. It's 24 inches by 36 inches tall. And we were told to take bits and pieces of pictures and put them together. And I put this one together, and it was titled Unlock the Doors to Unity. So even back in college, I was extremely, let me say, what should I say? My thinking was a very diverse thinking. I saw everybody as equals, and I wanted to put this in. Unfortunately, when it came time for the gallery opening, this piece was selected to be in the gallery. And then I showed up at the gallery opening with all of my friends and relatives, and it wasn't hanging there. And I couldn't figure out why. And we asked, and they said that it didn't meet some sort of criteria, but it was the only piece that highlighted African Americans and unity. So who knows why they pulled it, but we had our theories. From there, while I was in college, I formed a company called Art Logistics. So Creative by Design is actually a little bit older because here in 1992 was actually when I formed Art Logistics, my first freelance design business. And you can see by some of the things how ancient the technology was. I was doing graphics, rendering, paste up were the things, and airbrush, acrylic, pen and ink, marker and pencil was the things that I was advertising that I did. And before I graduated, I got my first job in an advertising agency. My uncle's girlfriend, her father owned the agency, and I had been looking for work and wasn't having any success getting that first job. And she introduced me, and I just kept pestering him for about 9 months. And he was complaining that he had just hired somebody who claimed they knew how to do software, how to do all the graphic design software, and she didn't know how to do it. And so his assistant finally convinced him to hire me, because I actually started off taking my graphic design degree, learning the traditional way with the paste up, the Ruby lists, everything. I learned how to do it all by hand. And when I was just about to graduate, went to look at the newspaper and the job listings and saw that I needed to learn all this software. They wanted people who knew, at the time it was PageMaker or Quark Express, and they wanted people to know that software. So I went back and looked at the course catalog and saw that they were offering all those. So I went and took my major again and learned all the digital programs, which is what helped me get my first job at the ad agency. And while I was there, we did things, all the Farmer John ads that were in the newspaper. That client insisted that they be done the traditional way. So instead of using the computer, I had to sit there with this big old camera in the dark room making their ads every month. But it was definitely a learning experience. I graduated from college with an AA in graphic design with honors. Since I was already working in my field, and at the time a bachelor's degree wasn't required, if you had a stronger portfolio than someone with a bachelor's degree, you got the job. So I kept working in the agency. They also didn't offer night classes at the time, so wasn't planning to continue. And so I just kept working there. And then in 1996 is when I decided, you know what, someone told me what logistics meant. And I was like, okay, I don't want a transportation name for my graphic design company. So I decided in 1996 to change the name to Creative by Design. And I registered it then and established that as a freelance business and came up with a logo and developed everything, built my website. I've been doing HTML back since, yeah, about 1996. So then 2 years later, I have my son Joshua, and he was born in 1998. You see several pictures of him. This is him with his older half brother, Benjamin, and here with my brother going snowboarding. This is the two of them at my brother's wedding. This is his nephew, that's Benjamin's son right here. And my mom and Josh when they were little, and that's my daughter and my son then. Here is one of the biggest smiles I've ever seen on this boy's face. It was when he was got to swim with dolphins in Cabo San Lucas. So then I started my corporate years. I always had the company on the side working as a freelancer, but I began my career in publishing with a nutrition company. We would publish articles on all the different supplements that they had, and that would go out and would help sell all of their nutritional products. From there, I moved to a small magazine publisher called Creative Age and started working on a magazine called Dialysis and Transplantation. It was for the doctors in that industry. And then moved to their flagship publication, which was Nail Pro magazine. This is one of their biggest magazines. And when I left, it was still the biggest, but they had going from 3 titles to about 12 different titles of publications. I helped them launch a few of them. And while I was working there was where I started winning awards from the Maggie Awards from the Western Publication Association. From there, I was recruited by a large magazine publisher called Advanced Star in Orange County. They recruited me to work on their websites for the magazines, and I ended up doing that for about 1.5 years until they shut their web division down when the big .com bubble burst. And they moved me over to the magazines department and started working on a couple different titles there. And then I was recruited by an association, the Electronic Retailing Association, to come and work on their flagship magazine, e-learning. And it was all about, no, that wasn't e-learning. Sorry, there's a few titles that overlap. No, it might have been e-learning. It's been so long. Worked there for 5 years doing their association publication, but I was actually working from my home. And it was just at the right time because my son had turned 5 and was ready to start school. So I was able to work at home and he was able to go to school in our neighborhood, and I could pick him up, and I had a little more flexibility with being able to handle the children while working full time. I worked my way all the way up to VP of Creative Services while I was there. And this is my daughter, Maya. She came around in 2001. Is that right? No, 2002. And these are some pictures of her. She loved hats and shoes when she was a little girl. She's always been a little diva and loves animals. This is our Yorkie, Lucy, right here. And this was her at graduation this past June from Corona High School. This was her at her homecoming dance. And then while I was working at Electronic Retailing Association, a voice inside of me in my spirit said, you need to prepare for this job to not be there anymore. And I thought to myself, what? No way. They're going to need me regardless. They have this magazine to put out. There's no one else doing it for them. There's no way. But I still heeded the voice and started prepping. I decided to redesign the logo. It had been 10 years and I was never quite happy with the very first one that I did, but I left it alone for 10 years because that's what I learned you're supposed to do. Never change it until you've had some establishment. But after 10 years, I decided since I was taking it to that next level, I needed to redesign. So this was the new logo. I also decided to learn WordPress so that I could get myself a little more advanced learning. Did not like working with HTML because it was very intense in code, and WordPress is very visual and user-friendly. So I decided to learn that. I started with my own website. And I also bought an ad in the chamber directory, and this was before I was a member. I knew that I wanted to attract businesses, and that was where the businesses were. So I bought that ad and started prepping for the next year. And after the holidays passed in January, I think it was the second week of January, my phone rings and I could see that it was the CEO of the company in Virginia, which is the one I'd been working for from home for 5 years. And when I picked up the phone, the HR was on the call too, and I knew exactly what that meant. So they told me that they decided to outsource the publication and that they were laying off the entire magazine team. And this was at the peak of the Great Recession. I mean, it had started in 2009. This was 2011 when this happened. And I knew right away, because that voice inside me told me to be ready. I knew right away that it was time to take my business full time. Now, at the time, my husband was had been just diagnosed with kidney failure and was on dialysis and wasn't working. And here I was about to take a part-time freelance agency full-time. I felt like John stepping out of the boat, trying to walk to Jesus, wondering if I was going to sink, because I had to use every ounce of faith in me to make sure that I was able to sustain, because I was the breadwinner for a family of 4 and I had just been laid off. And all I had was this part-time freelance business that had actually gotten busy enough that I had a person part-time working for me half of the time for my business and half of the time for this association I was working for. So I decided, okay, let's open it up. And I believe in the principles of sowing and reaping. So the first thing I started doing when I took my business full-time was giving. I didn't have enough money to give, but I went everywhere I could and made sure that the soil was good soil that I was sowing into. And I volunteered my time. I went to my church. I volunteered for every project that they needed. I went and did it. I looked for nonprofits, and I also gave a lot of volunteer design work there, because I knew that eventually that goodwill would come back. And one of the second things I did upon taking my business full-time, a friend of mine who advised me, he had an asphalt company at the time, but he knew of someone who had a business similar to mine, and said the best thing for me to do would be to join a chamber. So I walked into the Chamber of Commerce and said I'd like to join. That was when I first met Bobby 10 years ago this year. And I joined the chamber and literally sat there counting out every dollar I had to pay that membership. And then after being in the chamber for about 3 months and going to the CNS lunch networking group that they had, I decided that networking was really the way to build my business. So I joined a category exclusive networking group in addition to the chamber. And between the two of them, I networked. I volunteered for everything I could. I was at every event I could. Didn't have a lot of money, so I joined the ambassadors and I volunteered to work at every chamber event just so I could have a ticket to the event. But it was a way to get my name out there and to give back and be able to be seen and meet other business people. And just by doing that, I doubled my revenue every year for the first 3 years I was in business full-time. And after that, I've seen typically double-digit growth every year up until COVID hit. And then I meet the love of my life. This is my current husband, Leo. We met, we're actually going to be married 4 years this March. And we met about 5.5 years ago. So this is some photos of us having fun. This is his father right here. This was, I believe, oh, that was down at the beach. Our Laker gear here. His birthday, if you know him or see him, you see his tongue is out at just about every photo on Facebook. So then my portfolio. I'm going to try to go through this section quick so I can get to some tips that you guys can take with you. Some of the things that we do, this is some of the creative works for magazines that I've done. Several of the ones on here are ones that won awards. One of my favorite ones to work on was the LA Chamber's 125th anniversary edition. It was a hardbound coffee table type book. It was full of more imagery than text. It was beautiful. I loved it. But a lot of different publications that I've worked for. I currently have all of these titles still. Edible Orange County is one that I always work on. Parks and Recreation is my main large client. And then I also have a current edition of e-learning magazine that's a little different from the old one I used to work on. Well, that one died and this publisher bought the title and took it in. Also do advertising design. Here's some ads that I've done for Domino's and Main Place Mall, as well as some for Kia and some other small businesses, all different industries. I think I've done something for all of them. I haven't come across one yet that I haven't done. Also do books. So book covers, also the formatting for the inside. I've done a lot of those for my church. They have a huge book department and publishing department. This Ethel May's cookbook was a real fun one. This lady's a hoot. She called me the other day and I'm cracking up laughing every time she calls. She reminds me of Medea. Here's some logos that I've done for all different industries. You might recognize a few of these. I know one of them's on the call. Also collateral materials like brochures, postcards, direct mail, annual reports, merchandising stuff, Chevy's Fresh Mix. I did their to-go bags years ago. And then there's your stationery, your business cards, letterhead, envelopes, and then websites as well. Lots of different industries here as well. I'm also an illustrator because you can see from childhood, I've been illustrating several of these. Mostly now I do digital. This is some Photoshop work with about 6 or 7 photos put together. The one on the right was actually something, an actual illustration that I did. The only photograph was this background one. It was during the time of the Great Recession. And I saw that photo and I saw famine because the whole thing was dead and dark. And God told me, that's not what I have for you. And what I have for you is the Garden of Eden. So this is what the believer looks like in the middle of Eden while famine is around them. So that title, the title of that image is No Famine for the Righteous. And then, oops, that's a duplicate, sorry. So these are all the comprehensive services that we offer. There's a lot of different things from training and coaching. Even offer, I'm a reseller for GoDaddy, so you can get GoDaddy products from me. I earn a small commission and you can actually save a little bit of money. My prices are set a little lower than theirs. But that's all of the services that we offer. So I want to get now to, this is the list of the awards that they mentioned at the beginning. There's a lot of them there. I've had a really amazing career and I know it's not over yet, but I keep adding more and more to this every year. So 5 tips for you to take home. I want you to leave with some tips for your own business. So my first tip is a professional appearance. Having a professional appearance can mean the difference between an amateur pay and a professional pay. If you have, your friend's niece's cousin who just is in school learning graphic design and knows how to use the software, do your marketing materials for you, you're going to have an amateur appearance. It's not that there's anything wrong with it, but you'll have an amateur appearance and you'll struggle a little bit more to be established. If you have professional appearance right off the bat, you're going to have, it's all about perception. It's how the customer or potential customer views you. And you want to put your best face forward when it comes to your business. And having a professional designer do your marketing materials just gives you that much of an advantage to the impression that you make on potential clients. And these tips, by the way, are things you can do to make you look a little bit bigger than you are. Tip number 2 is not to use your cell phone number as your business line. This was something I did right away. I didn't have the budget to have a second phone, but there are ways to do it. I started off using Google Voice, which was a free platform. You're still answering the calls on your cell phone, but they're going to a different number. And they call that number. And if you set it up right on your phone, the caller ID will say that it's your business line. And you can answer the phone. Hi, Creative by Design. I'm happy to help you. Instead of, hello, this is Kim. And you sound a lot more professional when you know that the call coming in is a business call versus a personal call. And it's a way to separate things. And even those plans now, you can do texting on those as well. But I ended up outgrowing the Google Voice plan. And the other reason I outgrew it was because I started looking for funding, and I couldn't get funding unless I had a phone number that was listed with 411. And in order to do that, you need a VoIP line, which Google Voice sort of is, but I ended up moving to Ring Central, which was a little bit more money per month, but by then I was able to afford it. Started off with Google Voice and then moved to the Ring Central number because that gave me a 411 listing. The next tip is having an 800 number on your website or your advertisements. It puts potential customers feel more at ease. When they see a local number, they're not exactly sure, if it's your cell phone or if it's a business line or if you're going to be there tomorrow. But when they see an 800 number, it infers some confidence that you are an established business. And 800 numbers are a lot cheaper than you think. I used a service called Call8 with a K, K-A-L-L 8.com. And I was able to get an 800 number for $5 a month. $5. It also gave me an 800 fax line. And I got charged 5 cents a minute for everything that came in there. The funny thing is people don't typically use the 800 number to call you when they see 2 numbers. And when you put on your business card, the 800 number and the direct number, they tend to call the direct number. So I never did run up a huge bill of charges for the 800 calls, but it did put a lot of minds at ease that I was more established by having an 800 number. Tip number 4 is alliances. When I first started, it was just me working my business, and I wanted to look a little more established than that. So I started forming alliances. I looked for people that, in the networking realm, people will call them your power partners. They're people that have the same customers as you, but don't compete with you. So for me, it was a photographer. And in the very, very beginning, when I wasn't doing a whole lot of websites, I partnered up with a website person who taught me a lot about what I know today. Also, partnered up with a marketing person. And on my About Us page on my website, I would put their photos and their bios as being part of my team. Even though they weren't technically working for Creative by Design, they were part of my team because we would exchange those referrals. And they would also do the same thing on their website. They put my photo there as being part of their team. And it makes you look more established and a little bigger than you actually are. You're not spending anything for that, but you're committing to referring those people. And tip number 5 is to use a real address, not a P.O. box or your home address. I started this business in my home, in my kitchen, working that, and I had a P.O. box in the beginning and it just wasn't looking very well. So then I tried taking off the address altogether. I didn't want to list my home address because I didn't feel that was safe to have my home address public. So that didn't go over very well either. People were wondering if I'd be around tomorrow. So I started looking into executive office suites. And executive office suites, you don't necessarily have to have an office there. They have a mail program. Now, a lot of people will even use these mail stores, like the mail outpost or something, where you have a physical address, but it's a box inside. Those are also, they're okay, but they don't do well if you're trying to get funding. And if a larger business is looking at you to see how established you are, they Google that address and they can pull it up and see the front of the building. And they know exactly what it is. It's a P.O. box. If you do that, you'll have trouble getting funding. If you're looking for a loan, it's best to have an address. And so I started off by getting an address at a executive office. So I paid $75 to a one right here in Corona, and was able to get mail there and use that address as my business address. And it wasn't too long after that that I actually opened my first office and got my brick and mortar there. And so that is how I got there. Any questions?
Oh my gosh, Kim, I'm so glad that we're recording this so that we can play it back and I can go through all the different things. And what a very in-depth historical background for you. You were totally, I learn every time from you. I know that when you came in and you did the planning session and blew my socks off on that for this coming year. Excellent thing. I know that there are some questions. I again want to remind all of you, if you would plug into the chat box at the bottom of your screen and type in to the Corona Chamber host, that would be Linda, and she will go ahead and start asking questions. Go ahead, Linda. First question.
Thank you, Bobby, and thank you, Kim. First question, you mentioned updating your logo. So what do you recommend as far as what people consider in designing their logo?
For designing the very first logo or redesigning?
You could talk about both.
Okay. So your very first logo, I'm going to give a quick tip. Don't design for what you like. Design for what your target audience will like. So your logo should not be your favorite color. It should be the color that will support your industry and that your clients will respond to. And then as far as redesigning, as I mentioned earlier, it's not good to redesign a logo because you're trying to establish a brand. You should wait at least 10 years to redesign a logo that has some brand recognition. If it has no brand recognition, you can redesign it at any time.
And then can you talk a little bit about colors? Like what colors are appropriate for which type of businesses?
Oh, that I could talk 20 minutes just on that. There's a lot out there. Colors are a big deal when you're choosing colors, and you want to make sure that you stick with your brand colors when you're branding your company. Everything you publish should have your set colors. When it comes to color choices, blue is by far the top color for business fields. It has been known to give a potential customer a feeling of positivity and trust when they see blue, and blue is considered successful in business. When it comes to like hospitals and things like that, you don't want to use red because it's blood. Same with financial industry, you don't use red because it's a negative in that industry. Health and everything is usually typically pale blues or greens. Fast food is where the red and yellows come in. Anything that comes to food and energy and trying to do that. But if you'd like to learn more about that, you can reach out to me and I will send over a document about colors.
Awesome. Okay, next question. What is a normal time to expect for a design for ads and materials from a company like yours? For a small business, what should be the budget for professional design work?
That depends on what you're trying to do. Each design project is usually tailored specifically to the client. So it's hard to give a budget wise. If you're a startup, you need about $2,000 to start everything up and get that full, marketing package to get going. And then from there, you should be spending some regular money on advertising and postcards, and that can look different for everybody. You can budget $50 all the way up to thousands if you want for continual marketing. I'm sorry, I forgot the first part of the question. I think I covered budget. Linda?
Yeah, I'm sorry, I was trying to find it again. The budget and designing of materials.
Okay, yeah, so I think that covered that question.
Okay, did you have any specific?
Sorry, I just saw time was the other part of the question. How much time?
Oh.
For that startup, it can take a little while. Typically, there's a week to 2 week turnaround depending on production flows and how busy the designer is at the time when you come in. Some things can be as quick as a 48-hour turnaround. Other things can take a week to 2 weeks depending on what they are. Sorry.
Gotcha. Did you have any specific mentors or people who guided you that really kind of helped catapult you and guide you in the right directions of doing things?
When it comes to design work, I spent a lot of time looking at other people's design work. I spent a lot of time at newsstands, sifting through other magazines, and going to art shows, looking for inspiration and things like that. I had a few mentors that were bosses in previous jobs that I learned a lot from. Then when it comes to business-wise, I relied heavily on the people I met at the chamber. Dean Safe was definitely someone that I looked up to and listened whenever he talked about business plans and the things that he did in his business. Bobby, of course. There were several people in the chamber that I really paid attention to who were more successful than me. I always tried to surround myself with people more successful than me so I can learn.
Great. Was there a specific turning point that you felt it was time to increase and change your pricing?
Yeah, honestly, it took me forever to increase my pricing. I kept it the same for almost 10 years and it was ridiculous that I did that. I was so afraid to charge more. I think about 5 years ago, I started making incremental increases in prices every year because cost of living is going up. I mean, there's no way around it. I don't like to overcharge people, but at the same time, I need to make sure I can pay my bills. And as those bills continue to rise, I started making small changes on certain products each year. I did not do that this year because of COVID. You just kind of have to be mindful of the market and the demand and set your prices accordingly.
I know this is a wide topic, but do you have some suggestions about social media marketing and which ones are best, like Facebook, LinkedIn, Instagram, that kind of thing?
Yeah. That all depends on the sector that your business is in. You need to know which each of the social media outlets are the right sector for you to market in and where your customers are. Knowing your target audience is the first key to doing any type of marketing program and identifying who they are and where they are. Facebook, for example, their demographic is mostly women over age 35, and I think that's probably even changed to a higher age now. Instagram is where more of the millennials are, and the younger ones are in Snapchat and other areas. LinkedIn is business to business. So if you're a business to business company like myself, you want to spend some time in LinkedIn. But if you'd like to learn more about that, again, you can reach out to me.
Perfect. You talked a little bit about power partners. You said web designer and photographer, is that right? Do you have some other examples and ideas about ways people can get power partners and start thinking about which ones would be great for them to work with?
Yeah, I mean, like I said, you're looking for someone who has the same customers as you, but doesn't compete with you. So in the design space, I mean, I've brought a lot of these services in-house because I was doing so many referrals, but a graphic designer, a printer, a web designer, social media person, an email marketing person, a photographer, they all share the same clients, but don't directly compete with each other. But a lot of businesses these days, like mine, have had to develop other revenue streams, and we've got more than just our core business. So like a real estate person would want to connect with a handyman, an electrician, any type of home service person, because they service homes. They are great power partners for each other. So just look for those people that have the same customer as you and look to meet one and just develop that relationship.
Did you do that a lot via like your networking groups and stuff that you talked about?
I did. It was mostly within the networking groups, especially the category exclusive. They really help you find those power partners. And when I say category exclusive, it means that when you join, you are for me, I was the only graphic designer in the group, and another graphic designer can't join. So it's category exclusive. It does require a larger commitment as far as time and finances, typically than an open group, but you can only be a member of one category exclusive group because of the commitment to those referrals.
And do you have groups that you work with specifically in your marketing that you can collaborate and bounce ideas off of and stuff that maybe are competitors, but you're in a far enough away market that you're not really direct competitors?
I don't really have that, but I mean, I do have people I know across the country. Occasionally, what I'll do is I'll use LinkedIn for that. Sometimes I'll go in and ask a question or post a graphic to get some feedback or stuff like that. But mostly I spend a lot of time on Pinterest looking up design from other people, and at the newsstand or anywhere else I can get my hands on design and seeing what everybody else is doing.
Great. That's all the questions I have for right now.
Okay. Thank you, everybody.
Thank you, Kim. And I so appreciate you taking the time today and such great insight and tidbits that, again, all of you will be receiving an email later today or tomorrow with the video recording. You can go back and listen to the different things, but I've spent a lot of time writing down some notes and trying to keep it up. So I'll be going back several times on this call. So thank you so very, very much. I would like to, at this time, talk about the February Coffee with an Entrepreneur. Elijah Stacy, what a motivational young man. Linda White, could you just for a moment unmute and just share a little bit about him? I know you serve on his board of directors. Go ahead, Linda.
Yes, I'd be honored to. Elijah Stacy is as Bobby said, a very motivational young man. He has Duchenne muscular dystrophy. Both he and two of his brothers have the disease. One of his brothers has passed away from complications from Duchenne. Elijah is very positive minded, and he is really a go-getter. He graduated from Centennial High School in 2020. He formed his nonprofit as a 17-year-old, and he is he's very connected with people in the medical field and the scientists that are trying to find a cure for Duchenne muscular dystrophy. You know, he wants a cure to save his life, the life of his brothers, and the life of others that are inflicted with this disease that destroys muscles, and it is a fatal disease. But his talks are very positive, and he has a message for all of us to walk away with. He is just in the process, and I'm sure he'll speak about it, of publishing his book, and it has very motivational stories attached to all the different chapters of his life. So I think you will walk away feeling very energized from spending your Monday morning with Elijah Stacy.
Yeah, so that will be on February 8th. On the screen there, you can see the bit.ly Coffee Feb 8. Elijah is young, but I learn every single day from people, and this young man, I'm going to tell you, you want to register now for it. You also want to encourage other people to register. It is going to be a story that needs to be shared over and over and over again. Living in Corona, where we lived in the town that was the world capital of the lemon capital of the world in the 1900s, early 1900s up till 1960s. We constantly at the chamber make lemonade out of lemons. Elijah is stricken with a disease that will probably eventually take his life, but he's not looking on that. He's focusing on how he can make a difference in the world. And he's homegrown right here. He's a local guy, and we are very excited to welcome him. So he will be our featured speaker on February 8th. You definitely want to plug into that. With that being said, I believe that we are completely done for the day. I want to again thank the City of Corona, Jessica and her team, for being the sponsor today, for us to be able to put this on for each and every one of you, to offer a free connection to get your day started right. The second Monday of every month is when we have our Coffee with the Entrepreneur. Thank you all for being on. And a reminder that this Wednesday, we have a call at 10 o'clock. Our Assemblywoman, Sabrina Cervantes, and our Corona Mayor, Jackie Casillas, will be sharing their vision and their focus on various things going on. As well, we will have an update on the governor's budget from our legislative advocate, Jeff Gibson. Have a great day, guys. And again, Kim, thank you so much for sharing. We're adjourned.